Blessings, Israel. I'm going to bring it out today by the book and that's concerning John 3:16. Who is the world Yah loved? Again, who is the world that Yahuwah, the Most High Power, loved? Again, that's concerning John 3:16. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my greetings. Shalom. Ani Yashar Yehuda, Kal Halal Yahuwah Bahashem Hamashiach Yahusha, Barakat Yisrael. The title of this particular video is Elohim so loved the world of Yisrael. Again, the title of this video is Elohim, or God, so loved the world of Israel only. Again, that's John 3:16. So that's what I'm going to be bringing out the scriptures that's going to verify and prove that the world, the context of the world mentioned in John 3:16, it only includes the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so again, it's John 3:16. So let me just give you a glimpse of that verse. So here is the infamous verse, and it reads, "For God," and the correct name would be Elohim here, "for Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." All right, so we're going to find out that the people group that Elohim's son, and that son's proper name being Yahusha, the people group that Yahusha came here and died for the sins of, is none other than the 12 tribes of Yisrael, the Israelites. Those are the ones that he made a covenant with back in the Old Testament. And we are under different covenants in the Old Testament as far as the Israelites are concerned. We're, if you go back to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 12, we have the covenant that the Most High entered into with Abraham. Going to Genesis 17, we have the covenant of circumcision. Going into with Moses or Moshe, we have the covenant of the commandments that the Most High entered into with the Israelites. So we are under various covenants. The Israelites are, not the Gentiles, not the world of the Gentiles. They never were under any blood covenant with the Most High. So these are the people that the Most High sent his only begotten Son to die for, the Israelites. So what we have going on here in the world is Christians who routinely butcher John 3:16. They butcher it and they twist it out of proportion to include all Gentiles. So the people on the screen is who the Christians would like you to believe, the world includes. And that's all these masses of Edomites here, Christian Gentiles. But that's not the case, as the context will definitely bear out and bring out. So again, Christians, they like to focus on two words in John 3:16, And those two words are world and whosoever. So again, those two words they like to focus on is world and whosoever. So they look at these two words and they take these two words out of the proper context. And then they try to apply it to all the masses of the whole world. And this is where they are in grievous error. Yeah, so they take those two words again and they reject all of the previous context leading up to verse 16, which includes these two words. And they just totally reject and, dismiss the first 21 verses in John chapter 3. All those 21 verses in John chapter 3 is about a discussion between two Jews. Two Jews. Okay, the first one being the black Israelite Nicodemus. And the other person that was involved in this discussion in John chapter 3 is none other than Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, who Christians erroneously call Jesus the Christ. So again, John chapter 3, verses 1 through 21 is a discussion between two Jews, Nicodemus and Yahushua. And what are they talking about? They're talking about what one must do in order to be born again and achieve salvation. So, Yahushua, if you go and look at verse 14, you'll see that Yahushua in verse 14 gives the example of how Israel was and can be born again or saved the way they were in the wilderness when Moses or Moshe lifted up the bronze serpent called Nehushtan. And here is an image of the bronze serpent that was lifted up with Moses in the wilderness. And again, this serpent is called Nehushtan. All right, so he lifted up this serpent, Moses did, in the wilderness, which was used as a symbol. Well, this particular image here you can see is used as a symbol on ambulances and in hospitals. And the symbol is called caduceus. So you can see the symbol on the side of the ambulance here. Let me give you a close-up of the caduceus. So you see the serpent wrapped around the pole. And again, Moses lifted up this bronze serpent to the Israelites that they could be healed because they had been bitten by fiery serpents for being sinners and transgressing and offending the Most High. So he sent those fiery serpents to bite the people. So he lifted up this serpent and put it on the pole. And again, the serpent was called Nehushtan. And the Edomites, they borrowed this, they stole this symbol and they put it on the side of their ambulances and again in their hospitals. And again, the symbol is called today the caduceus. All right, so again, this serpent saved the Israelites who looked upon it from death. The serpent did not save the Gentiles because the Gentiles were not among the Israelites when they were in the wilderness and experienced this. Okay, it was only the 12 tribes of Israel in the wilderness that looked upon the serpent to receive salvation. All right, so again, so in verse 14, Christ was bringing this example out to Nicodemus and how he must be lifted up. So again, so Christ in like manner, he was speaking to Nicodemus, he was saying, so I in like manner must be lifted up on the cross for the sins of my people. And who is his people? Of course, it is the 12 tribes of Israel. So here is a glimpse of the verse in Matthew 1:21, and it says, dealing with the birth of Yahushua and what he was born to do. And it says, and he shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, For he shall save his people. Again, that's that personal pronoun, possessive there going on. Save his people from their sins. So again, that's Matthew, Mathayahu, chapter 1, verse 21, showing you that the purpose for Yahushua being born was to save his own people. Again, that's Israel and Judah, the two kingdoms. All right, so this is what Christ was saying to Nicodemus. It says, even as he said, he would save, his own people. That's in Matthew 1:21. It's also, that's brought out in Luke chapter 1, verse 68 through 72. Let's take a brief look at that verse. All right, so this is Luke. I'm just read it briefly. Some of it says, blessed be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, for he had visited his people and redeemed his people and has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Again, it's only dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel, whom salvation was for. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a closer look at the definition of this word world. So we're going to look at the Hebrew definition and the Greek. Well, we look at the Greek definition of this word world in John 3:16. All right, so if you can pull up the Blue Letter Bible, or you can just have if you have a Strong's Concordance, you can look it up as well. All right, so again, if you look that word world up in John 3:16, you'll see that the Greek is cosmos. And again, that's G2889. That's the Strong's Concordance number that you can find this word in the Blue Letter Bible or the Strong's Concordance. Cosmos. Now, if you look in the original sentence here, you'll see that the word has an N, the letter N on the end of the word cosmos. So it'd be cosmon. And that's showing that the word is a masculine word. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of the definitions of this word world. Also, if you don't have a Blue Letter Bible, or you don't have a Strong's Concordance, you can also look it up in the Thayer's Greek and English lexicon. And they would be under the same number. That number is G2889 cosmon. G2889 cosmon. All right, so when you're going back looking at the definition of cosmon, all right, it means, if you're look at the number 1 here, it means an orderly arrangement of men. By implication, world in a narrow or a wide sense. So again, that's an orderly arrangement of men. By implication, world in a narrow or in a wide sense. All right, so that's why you're going to have to look at the context to get it, to get the proper definition of what this world is meaning. What are they trying to imply to you? You have to look at the context clues to get an understanding of what the proper definition of the word would be. Okay, so looking further at the definition, and they also have, if you have the Blue Letter Bible, you can look at the outline of biblical usage. That's what I'm looking at here. Again, that's the outline of biblical usage, and you can see that the word world has multiple meanings. So I'm going to go through briefly some of these multiple meanings here. All right, so the number 1, it says an apt or harmonious arrangement or constitution, order, and government. So number 2 says an ornament, decoration, adornment. That is the arrangement of the stars, heavenly hosts. Number 3 says the world or universe. Number 4 says the circle of the earth. Number 5 says, the inhabitants of the earth, men and the human family. Number 6 says, and this is a key one, number 5 and number 6. So number 6 says, the ungodly multitude, the whole mass of men alienated from Elohim or God, and therefore hostile to the cause of Mashiach or Christ. All right, so number 7 says, world affairs, the aggregate of things earthly, the whole circle of earthly goods, etc. All right, going down to number 8, it says, any aggregate or general collection of particulars of any sort. And here's another key one, number 8, and the letter A, it says Gentiles as contrasted to the Jews. So it's telling you right here, it could be, the world could be Gentiles and it could be Jews. It's telling you right there in the definition. Gentiles or Jews right there. For all of you naysayers thinking that every time you see the word world, it just means everyone. So I just went through 8 of the biblical or outline of biblical usage definitions. And as you can see, it can mean multiple, it can have multiple meanings. All right, so again, that's 8 definitions given. So once you go through all 8 of those definitions and those meanings to the word world, it should be evident from reading through those various definitions and the outline of biblical usage for the word world that one must ascertain the correct definition of world from the context clues in the chapter or preceding verses to be Israel, in as far as John chapter 3 verse 16 is concerned. Okay, so we can clearly see from John chapter 3 verse 1 through 15, the subject of Gentiles is never once mentioned. However, what is clear is that there is a private conversation going on between 2 Jews. I already brought that out, that those are again Nicodemus and Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah. Okay, so Cosmon, again, which is a masculine word for world, meaning a collective. Well, let me give you the definition for that one right quick. So you just have to base it off the context of the verse or the surrounding verses. So again, that word cosmon, again, it just means a masculine and orderly arrangement of men. That's cosmon. And again, that's John 3:16. The word cosmon is a masculine, orderly arrangement of men. So in this particular context, that would be the Israelites, because that's the only people that were ever talked about in verses 1 through 21 in John chapter 3. So again, cosmon or world in John 3:16 can only rightfully be referring to the Israelites and the Jews, who are the only people that make up the context, again, in verses 1 through 15. So now let's look at some verses that use the word world in an exclusive manner, referring to Israelites only. Okay. All right, so the first one that we're going to read is Isaiah 45 and 17. And again, these verses are going to be only dealing with the Israelites only, as far as the context of the definition of the word world. And this verse reads, it says, but Israel shall be saved in Yahuwah with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. All right, so right here is saying that the world that will not end and the world that will not be confounded and the world that will be saved with everlasting salvation is Israel. All right, let's go to another one. All right, so this next one is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, verse 24. And it reads, "For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head." All right, so this verse is speaking about the holy garments that were worn by the Levites, or the sons of Aaron, the priesthood. And it's speaking about in that long garment is going to be salvation for the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's represented by those 12 stones, the Koshin, the Hoshin breastplate that you see the priests wearing here. And again, those 12 stones, again, they represent the 12 tribes of Israel. And if you go back again, looking at Wisdom of Solomon 18:24, it says, "For in the long garment was the whole world." What world? The 12 tribes of Israel. That's the world that salvation was for. All right, so let's go to the next verse that we have the word world, that word cosmon, dealing with the an aggregate or a gathering of men, a collective of men. And these are the Israelite men, the elect men of Israel, whom salvation is given to here. All right, so this is John 18, verse 20, and it says, Yahusha, the Christians again, they like to say Jesus. Yahusha answered him, "I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple whither the Jews always resort. And in secret have I said nothing." So right here we see Yahusha bringing it out that he spake openly to the world. And where is that world and who is that world? It says right there in the synagogue. The people that were in the synagogue made up that world. And he's telling you even more clearly, it says, whether the Jews always resort. So right here we see Yahusha bringing it out that the world in this context is the world of the Jews, the Israelites here. So let's get another verse. All right, so this next verse is going to be John, Yakanan, verse 8, chapter 8, verse 26, and it reads, "I have many things to say and to judge of you, but he that sent me is true. I speak to the world." Right here it says, "I speak to the world those things which I have heard of him," speaking of the Father. So this is again Yahusha speaking to the Israelites, saying that I speak to the world. Yahusha did not go and preach to the Gentiles. He was speaking here to the Israelites. So the world in this context, the word cosmon, is the an aggregate or a gathering of men of Israel. That word cosmon, a cosmos here. So let's get another one. All right, so this next one is John chapter 13, verse 1. And it reads, "Now, therefore, the feast of the Passover," now before the feast of the Passover, when Yahusha knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own. So right here it says that Yahusha loved his own, which were in the world. You see that? His own, which were in the world. It says he loved them unto the end. All right, so we're seeing here a possessive going on here. Yahusha loved his own, which were in the world. He did not love the whole world. He loved his own, those that the Most High had given him. And those are the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, let's get another one. This is John 17, verse 6. And it says, "I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world." You see right here, we see a distinction going on here. The Most High gave Yahusha a certain group of people out of the world. And it says, "Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word." So again, let's read this one again. It says, I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. So the Most High gave Yahushua a certain grouping of men out of the world. So again, we're showing a distinction going on, a choosing going on. The Most High chose Israel. Again, that's Deuteronomy 7:6. All right, so let's get another one. This is John 17, verse 9, and it reads, I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. So again, we see that the Most High here through Yahushua, he's making a distinction. He's saying that I don't pray for the whole world. So John 3:16 cannot be about the whole world. He's telling you right here that he does not pray for the whole world. So if he's not praying for the whole world, why do Christians believe that Yahushua, or Jesus, who they wrongly call, that he died for the whole world? He's telling you right here that he wouldn't even pray for the whole world. So much less would he die for the whole world. He's dying for, again, a particular group of chosen people, the elect of Israel, those who love Yahushua, those who are have a covenant with him. They have a covenant with the Father, Yahuwah. These are the ones that he died for. All right. Let's see. Did I get John 13? Let me see if I got John 13 yet. Yeah, I got that one. All right, so I went through all those verses again. That's John 18, John 8:26. We got John 13, John 17:6, John 17:9, all showing that the world, that word cosmon, is referring to Israelites. Okay, it's a distinction. It's not referring to every person in the world, the collective masses of all the people in the world. Yahushua did not come here and die for all of these people. Okay, so all these verses again, they show that Christ, or Yahushua, the Mashiach, loved his own in the world. So again, this proves with an overwhelming amount of evidence, or preponderance of said evidence. Let me get that. That the world of John 3:16 is and was inclusive of only the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so these are the people that you see on the screen. These are the Israelites right here. These are the ones that the Most High sent his son Yahushua to come here to die for. And again, we've laid out the evidence. We have a preponderance of evidence in favor of John 3:16, cosmon being an aggregated collective of particulars. With those particulars would be the Israelites, the elect, those people that have made a covenant, those people who have trust and faith in his son Yahushua. These are the people that he died for, that he sent his son here for. All right, so I just want to leave you in peace. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat or in the comment section, and I'll be sure to get back with you. Shalom. Peace to Israel.